Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing swatches with you from the brand Bella Bosio. I have their unicorn collection to share with you, which consists of 6 linear holographic polishes. I don't have a ton of information on like release dates and prices or anything like that. When I find that stuff out, I will put it in the description box below. I know the release is in a couple of days, so I'm not entirely sure at this time what it is. I have asked and I haven't gotten a straight answer, so I'm not entirely sure, but I did want to go ahead and get this portion filmed before I put the polishes into a Helmer and forgot all about it. In the description box below, I will link the Bella Bosio site as well as their Instagram page, and I will also link my Instagram page where you can see more swatches of everything in this collection, and let's go ahead and get started. So first we have Unicorn Love, and this is a deep raspberry pink linear holographic. Here's our first coat of Unicorn Love. And all of these across the board pretty much have the same formula. They are easy to use, but you do have to work in thinner coats, otherwise you will get some running and some pooling. This one in particular is very pigmented. I can still see through to my nail line a little bit, so I am going to go in for a second coat. But this does go on really, really beautifully, and most holographic polishes like this that I've worked with in the past does have to dry down before you get the full holographic effect, but I do feel like these ones apply pretty holographic. They do dry a little bit more holographic, but these go on really, really nicely as well. They do dry down a little bit dull, so you want a nice glossy top coat. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have Baby Unicorn, and this is a lighter pink, almost like I guess a baby pink, linear holographic. Here is our first coat of Baby Unicorn. And this is pretty sheer here on this first coat, so it is going to have to be built up. It is completely opaque in just 2 coats for me. Depending on your application and your preference, you may end up wanting a 3rd coat. Again, this does have that thinner formula that will want to run and pull if you're not careful and work in thinner coats. So here's our second coat, and again, for me this does cover completely in 2 coats. Again, you will want a nice glossy top coat just to make everything look nice and cohesive. It does dry slightly textured, nothing too crazy because they are all about the same size micro glitter, so 1 coat of a glossy top coat should smooth that out. So there's 2 coats. Up next we have Unicorn Glow, and this is a teal linear holographic. Here's our first coat of Unicorn Glow. And this is much like Baby Unicorn in that it is very sheer here on this first coat. Again, it does go on really, really smoothly though. Easy to use, easy to work with if you work in thinner coats. Thicker coats, again, will cause some pooling and some running. So I am going to go ahead and build this up with 2 coats for me for full opacity, but just like the previous polish, if you are super duper picky, you may end up wanting a 3rd coat. Again, this dries and applies decently holographic. These aren't difficult to remove per se, but they do leave kind of a bit of a mess on your nails. So there's 2 coats. Up next we have Unicorn Tears, and this is almost like a deeper sky blue linear hollow. Here's our first coat of Unicorn Tears. And this one is also pretty sheer here on this first coat. This is another one that for me is going to build up to opacity in 2 coats, but depending on your application and preference, you may opt for a 3rd coat. Again, it's got that thinner formula that will run and pull if you work in thicker coats. So here's our second coat, and this does cover completely in 2 coats. Again, it applies extremely holographic, but it will be more holographic once it's completely dry. And again, it's not textured or anything like that, and it's not going to be super difficult to remove. It's just going to leave tiny little pieces of glitter everywhere. So there's 2 coats. Up next is Unicorn Melody, and this is a lighter lavender linear holographic. Here's our first coat of Unicorn Medley, and this is probably, I would say, the most sheer in this collection. It does build up again for me completely in 2 coats, though once again, depending on your application, you may end up wanting a 3rd coat of this. It does also have that same thinner formula that's not hard to use if you work in thin coats, but if you work in thicker coats, you are going to have some balding on the top of your nail, as well as some running and some pulling down the sides of your nail. So here's 2 coats, and again, that's completely opaque in 2 coats for me. Just like the rest of them, it's going to dry hollow, it's going to apply hollow, it's going to be not hard to remove, not textured or anything like that. So there's 2 coats. And lastly, we have Unicorn Shadow, and this is a black linear holographic. Here is our first coat of Unicorn Shadow. And this is probably the most not probably, but the most pigmented one in the collection. It's also the one that's going to look the most holographic because it is in a black base. So it's easy for the holo to reflect off of that base color. It does still have that same thinner formula that's easy to use if you work in thinner coats. So here's our second coat, and this one does cover completely in 2 coats for me, though it was almost completely opaque in one. I would recommend 2 thinner coats as opposed to 1 thicker coat just to avoid any kind of running or pooling. None of these stained. They all dry a little bit dull, so you will want a nice glossy top coat across the board, and nothing is textured or difficult to remove. So there's 2 coats. My favorite of this collection is Baby Unicorn. I can thoroughly appreciate a super light pink polish with a 2-coat formula. I mean, and the fact that it's holographic is obviously an added bonus, but the fact that this can get opaque in just 2 coats for me and it's 2 thinner coats thoroughly impressed me, so Baby Unicorn is my favorite. And that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this collection. Let me know if you plan on picking any of them up, and let me know what your favorite was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye.